Good morning, Henning.
Good morning, Rohit.
On June 26, 2025, that is tomorrow, the Hong Kong Convention is officially coming into force. At the heart of this journey stands Henning Gramann, a name tantamount with environment responsibility, technical excellence, and a deep commitment to ship recycling. Henning has played a crucial role in supporting ship recycling yards, especially in South Asia, to align with the global standards. In this special interview, I sit down virtually with Henning to reflect on his long standing journey with HKC, his experiences on ground in India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and his vision for what lies ahead. Henning, first of all, congratulations on witnessing the Hong Kong Convention finally coming into force. How are you feeling about this moment?
Oh, thank you, Rohit. For me, it's a very special moment because we have waited for 16 years that this day will come one day. And I think it is a very significant step because it's the first international set of rules creating clear responsibilities for ship owners, for ship recyclers, but even beyond, like for administrations, competent authorities, certifiers or classification societies, and the entire maritime supply chain. And I think it is very important to really reflect on that, to say, look, we look from cradle to grave. And even at the beginning, when something is done, constructed, created, we have to consider the end of it and what's going to happen with that. And the whole lot has to be planned under the premises of reducing the human impact on the environment to ensure safety. So it is a very crucial aspect. And I was really desperately waiting for that day. And I understand that just before the entry into force conditions were met, it was highly critical because of the quite complicated enforcement criteria to be met.
Absolutely. It was very complicated and it took very long time for it to come into force. You have been part of this journey for many years. Can you please take us back? How did your involvement with ship recycling and HKC begin?
No, now I can see you again. Can you repeat?
Okay. It was a technical glitch, I believe.
Yes.
So I would like to ask you that you have been part of this journey for many years now. Can you take us back? How did your involvement with ship recycling and HKC begin?
That was back in 2005, and I was very fortunate to work at Gramann at that time. And my former boss, he said, Henning, you have to understand how the rules and regulations are developed at IMO. So he brought me to one of the MEPC meetings at IMO for the German delegation. And as I'm an environmental engineer looking into maritime environmental protection since the beginning of my career, I said, okay, ship recycling, that sounds very interesting. So I know a lot about waste management, I know a lot about ships, but how can I connect that? And so I was joining the working group on ship recycling at that time under the chairmanship of Dr. Nico Michaelis. And it was very interesting. But if you imagine that around 120 to 140 participants are sitting in the room, coming from different countries, from different associations, and they have to make up their mind and create an idea and a proper scheme to regulate ship recycling. This is sometimes extremely time-consuming, even nerve-wracking, to be honest. But I think the outcome, what we have in front of us, it is not ideal, but it is a good starting point. And we all have to understand that it will evolve further. We will see stricter requirements coming under the scope of Hong Kong Convention, but this is the basis, a legal basis which gives orientation to all the stakeholders in the maritime industry. And that's a very important step, which is going to happen or enter into force tomorrow.
You have closely worked with the ship recycling yards in South Asia, especially in India. What has your experience been like on the ground?
Yeah, to be honest, during my first visit, I was a bit shocked. I saw chaotic conditions, a lot of pollution, unsafe working conditions. But right from the beginning, we went to India and said, okay, guys, we want to help you. We want to achieve something better together. And I think this cooperative approach is the key to really achieving something. So back in 2013, 2014, when we started to work with Class NK and NKCS, that was a good entry point. And when we started to work with the first 4 yards who saw good reasons to really upgrade and improve, it's not only a business case, it's also about a lot of ethical aspects in this industry. So that was really a cornerstone, and that was a changing point where we have finally achieved to make beaching yards compliant with Hong Kong Convention, and that was doubted by many in the industry at first. So that means we had to put our heads together with the ship recyclers, also here back in the office at GSR Services, and with you also, to really get an idea of what this is all about. How can we create safe procedures without impacting the productivity of ship recycling yards too much? Because sustainability always includes economics as well, not only health, safety, and environmental aspects. So the whole lot had to come together. We had to develop a lot of individual solutions. Some of these solutions have become standards in the meantime, but always such projects are highly individual, and the whole package has to be considered. If the whole package is not customized to the specific needs, to the specific conditions in the yard, it will never work out, and it will always feel as an extremely cumbersome endeavor. And that was very important, to really customize the solutions, develop the right solutions and procedures. And I think we have come a long way. In the meantime, I have worked with more than 65 ship recycling yards in Asia, also in Turkey, and we are in very good exchange still.
That is commendable. So, how have you seen these yards evolve over the years, especially in terms of safety and environmental practices?
At the beginning, there were a lot of doubts around, and many have seen the Hong Kong Convention and related requirements very critically. But once they got into it, and also a big change on the ground, which I've seen, is that the workers who were really resistant to wear the protective equipment in the beginning, with the awareness, with the training, the mindset has really changed. And now workers approach their bosses and say, "Boss, I can't work today because my shoes are not good anymore. Give me new ones." We really fight it against flip-flops in the yards. So, and we have seen the same on the management level. And if the willingness does not come from the management level, we can work as hard as we want to, but we will not achieve the desired outcomes. So the change in the mindset, and also seeing that their reputation has grown significantly, because more and more stakeholders ask for sustainability, for good practices, also under their own responsibilities and for their own image in the industry. That has come a long way. And when we started, as I said, these places were chaotic, they were polluted. And once we started to look into the production, streamlining the processes and all the surrounding aspects, then the whole story started to grow and bloom. And when it is understood that Hong Kong Convention compliance is not the finishing line, but a new starting point, that is really great to see. So the effort is not only for achieving compliance, the main effort is also to stay compliant. And some yards have really understood that they can create USPs by going beyond, keeping to improve. And even when we see the yards from the beginning and then when they have become HKC compliant, that was a huge change. But now when I visit a few yards which have kept improving over the years, it's again a completely different picture. And it's great to see that I had the opportunity to work at the starting point to reach one of the goals and that they keep running, not only going, they keep running. And that is really great to see.
Absolutely. You have rightly pointed out that achieving HKC compliance is not the end. It is the beginning for a new journey and a new race. And it is good and commendable to see that each and every ship recycling facility is striving towards their own USP. Now that the HKC is coming into force, what do you see the next step for the industry?
I think one of the next steps, first of all, is that the different parties or stakeholders have to get to know HKC in practice. What does it really mean? How can we live up to the requirements? There will for sure be a few hiccups in the beginning. But once this is all sorted out, it becomes the new normal, the new norm. And I think that we will see that the Hong Kong Convention will become stricter in certain aspects and areas. So it might become more like an EU ship recycling regulation. I don't know. I assume that there will be some voices coming up requesting exactly that. I would really like to see more involvement of the value chain when a ship is built, to really consider design for recycling, design for recirculation, to really see the whole impact and all the different aspects related to products, to coatings, to equipment, to the ship itself, and to really help the ship recycler with trustworthy and good and useful information to tell him, look, if you dismantle it this way, you can segregate the valuables from the wastes and so on. So really to optimize the whole process.
So, what are the biggest risks or threats that you see ahead for ship recycling? If there is one area where the industry still needs to do much better, what would that be?
I see one big risk, and we have this, let's say, coexistence, which is interfering as well and creating a lot of problems between the Basel Convention and Basel Ban Amendment and Hong Kong Convention. All of them are international treaties. We can argue that Hong Kong Convention is lex specialis, which means it's overruling the general waste legislations applicable internationally. But there are a lot of discussions going on, and it's a big issue because for ship owners and also recyclers, a lot of vague requirements are coming up due to the two or let's say three completely different treaties. So we have legal risks, and it is up to the parties of the Hong Kong Convention to show to the Basel Convention or the Conference of the Parties of Basel Convention, look, this is our treaty, this is how we live up to it. And we are achieving at least a comparable level of control or equivalent level of control. That's the buzzword in this discussion. So the biggest threat, what I see, is to compromise on the meaning of Hong Kong Convention, to not properly enforce it, to not properly control compliance with Hong Kong Convention. And that goes out to all addressees of the Hong Kong Convention, in particular to the competent authorities in the ship recycling destinations, ship recyclers, also flag state administrations and ship owners and building yards. And what I've seen so far is we see a lot of HKC compliance certificates out there. And some of them are not justifiable at all. So this is where the industry is playing foul. This is where the industry is damaging, even prior to entry into force, the reputation of the Hong Kong Convention, and they are weakening the entire discussion which is going to happen over the next 2 years between Basel Convention and Hong Kong Convention. So I can only ask everyone involved, please live up to the requirements. Understand them. It's not about free interpretations or convenient interpretations. Stick to the rules. Be strict. Otherwise, this will be just like an air balloon called Hong Kong Convention without a lot of substance.
Yes, this is very critical for the existence of the Hong Kong Convention, and we should all work together for having one standard ship recycling regulation throughout the globe. Now, moving towards a bit lighter topic and moving out of the compliance outlooks, I would like to delve into your personal archive. That is there any ship recycling project or any moment in your career that you feel especially proud of?
Yes. The early one, like the first HKC compliance projects with ship recyclers, this is a big step ahead in my career. But there's one particular project what we carried out together with the Navy from New Zealand, or the HMNZ Endeavour. That was extremely interesting. It started in 2017, and we finished our main part with the delivery of the ship to India in March 2018, plus supervision together with you later on. It is the first ship ever which has been delivered under full compliance with the Basel Convention to India. And being involved right from the beginning, from developing IHM Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 later on, plus creating tender criteria, reviewing the applications coming surprisingly only from Indian ship recyclers, even though it was a global tender process. All the others, including some destinations which would be or which are very experienced with Navy tankers, they have not participated. And we made it very clear right from the beginning, we will strictly follow the processes on the ground. So there will be supervision. There will be a lot of power to the supervisors to stop the entire processing if we find unsafe or non-environmentally sound practices. So that was quite interesting, and really coming from the first step of the idea to dispose of a Navy tanker down to really focusing or documenting the whereabouts of the different wastes. That was a very great experience, and it was really done in a great yard. It was done with a great ship owner. The representatives of the New Zealand Navy were extremely cooperative, very open, but of course still bound to their own procedures and policies. So that was challenging, but very interesting, and I'm still proud of it. And if you look on YouTube, we still have a time-lapse video, 47 seconds, representing a few months of the recycling process, and that's really an eye-opener. So I'm very proud that I had the chance to participate in that.
So the Endeavour was a memorable project for all of us, and it was a project where all the blocks were lifted without any contact with the intertidal zone. And it was something which was beyond HKC, I would say HKC plus, and also the social accountability aspects and downstream waste management was also well regarded and praised. It was a tedious project, but a memorable one. God bless you with many more years to come. But I would like to ask you, how would you like to be remembered in the context of global ship recycling movement?
That's a tough question, and I also hope that there are many more years to come and that can generate more positive impacts. I would like to be remembered as a friendly, technically fair, and cooperative guy who always did his very best to really bring the industry forward, to help to protect the environment, worker safety, and health, and to really create a big step or a big improvement in the industry, and also bringing together the different stakeholders from the owner side and the recycler side, and to guide all of them in a neutral but experience-based manner to really take the right decisions in light of responsibility and sustainability.
Certainly. And we do know that the credibility and the reputation which you hold in the ship recycling industry is tantamount, and people speak about it. So thank you very much for it. I know that you have another meeting to go, but I would like to ask you one question. The last question is that what's next for Henning, Gramann and GSR services post HKC implementation?
I'm sure that I will remain in the HKC arena for some more years. There's still a lot of work to be done. There are new yards in the planning, which is very interesting and where we are involved in also right from the beginning. But what I see is HKC has been developed until 2009. And the society has come a long way in regards to sustainability approaches. Not only talking about green steel or the EU Green Deal, CSRD reporting, but there's one particular aspect I'm really interested in and where we are currently working on. It is cradle to cradle. So like I mentioned a little bit earlier, looking at the design stage of products and ships into the impacts on what's going to happen next and how can we keep the resources in the loop. I'm working on a general understanding that ships are resource banks. We talk about resilience and we talk about resources. So it's a strategic aspect as well. And this understanding has to be well funded, for instance, based on what we are also developing is the retro digital twin, a materials inventory. We are very experienced with developing inventory of hazardous materials, but this is where we only focus on the bad stuff. It's very important for safe and environmentally sound recycling, yes, also for safe and environmentally sound ship operations, but also considering the positive things, the huge amounts of resources inherited in a ship. This is what we want to quantify, what we want to further specify. It plays an important role to evaluate the asset values and also for the green steel industry, because if ship recyclers are not sorting the different types of steel properly and segregate them from other materials, the steel manufacturers or producers will get into trouble because they cannot handle any foreign materials in their smelters, basically. So a lot of different things have to be considered, and we keep working on it. It gets far more complex, that's for sure, but it's also getting more interesting and hopefully more impactful.
So one thing becomes clear: the future of ship recycling will be shaped not just by regulations, but by the people who believe in progress, act with integrity, and stay committed to doing what's right even when no one is watching. Through the years of fieldwork, policy advocacy, and tireless engagement, Henning has helped to prove that the ship recycling, if done right, is not just possible, it is essential. The work isn't over yet. Thank you very much, Henning, for your time for this interview. And once again, congratulations on the HKC coming into force on 26th of June. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Rohit. Thank you.